Today we're going to be looking at another bend knot. This one is rather unique actually for bend knots as bend knots go, because the working ends will lay in parallel with the opposing standing ends. And the name of this knot is the shake hands bend. Now if you're using a bend knot where you're going to be attaching two ropes together where you need to pull with pretty decent amount of force, this is probably not the knot to use. While it does come apart fairly easily, there are better knots out there like the Zeppelin or the Carrick bend or the Ashley bend knot. There's a number of other bend knots that might be more suited. This is more of an application based bend knot where you need to have those lines in parallel. And what I'll often do when I'm tying this one, or situations where I need it, is then I will tape up the working ends to the standing ends, thereby making a lot smoother transition for it to be able to pass through larger rings and stuff like that. And so it's more of a situational knot for me. Let me show you how this one is tied. Okay, so to start this knot, what we want to start off with is turning an underhand loop, and that's going to form a lowercase b. And this is how I commit the start of this knot to memory. Because we're forming a lowercase b, then the working end has to go to the lower side, and that's how I train myself to remember this particular knot, or how to start it anyway. Then we'll take our other line and we'll go through the loop that we just formed, and now we'll bring this one out on the top side, forming a lowercase d. Then we'll push those two together. Now, what's important about this is that we have our working ends on opposite sides. So the D has it on the top, the B has it on the bottom. Now we'll take our right hand side, we'll go around and go through the two loops and pull this so that it runs in parallel with its opposing standing end. And then we'll take this line and we'll go through the two loops going from the front side, and then we'll send it out parallel with its standing end. Now you can take the four lines and you can kind of pull them apart. Then you can take your standing ends and your working ends and work them separately in order to get this knot dressed up. And there you have the shake hands bend. Now, again, this is more of a situational knot. This one, you can get it untied after you have subjected this to a lot of load. It does have the backs to break on it, but the turns on those backs are a lot tighter than some of those other bend knots. And so while you can get it undone after a fairly substantial load, it might be more advisable to look into one of the other bend knots that are a little easier, actually quite a bit easier in certain circumstances to get untied. At any rate, this is the shake hands bend.